All right, welcome to the show, y'all. Hope everybody out there is having an awesome day so far. I have a jam-packed show for you. So in just a second, Trump is absolutely crashing out ski over the Epstein files. We have now a legendary and notorious and infamous line where he says, "Quiet, piggy, quiet." He's the king of like the old-timey insults. You know what I'm saying? Like, "You better stop that, you gutter snipe. Why, I ought to punch you right in the kisser." Like this, that's what that reminds me of. "Quiet, piggy." Like, what is this? You're calling a woman piggy? Like, what's wrong with you? Anyway, so he absolutely crashed out on Air Force One over the Epstein files. Epstein is haunting him from the grave. We have Trump blowing up also at a different reporter because the reporter dared to ask a tough question of the Saudi Arabian dictator. So that was low. That was low. They also had this just disgusting giant dinner to celebrate the Saudi murderous dictator Mohammed bin Salman. You had Elon Musk there. You had all these billionaires and these sellouts, sitting around and probably sharing their Epstein secrets with each other. So we'll get to that. We'll also talk about the Burger Reich is finally here. I wish I was kidding, but it's quite literal at this point. Later on, the new polls spell absolute doom for Trump. I'm talking about like a record-breaking collapse among Latinos in particular. It is wild stuff. Wait until you see the numbers for the generic ballot for 2026. That's also crazy. And then later on, sloppy Steve Bannon was exposed for an insane relationship with Epstein that he's been hiding to this point, but he can't hide it anymore because now we got a whole bunch of questionable-ass emails. So we'll talk about that and more. You guys know the drill, man. Everybody please do me a big favor and subscribe to the channel. That, of course, helps out big time and costs you nothing at all. You can also support the show on Patreon. Remember, this is real independent media. I've never had a conversation with an advertiser. I've never done an ad read. In fact, there was just an advertiser that reached out the other day. I didn't actually read the message. I saw the header, didn't read the message, and didn't respond because you would think they would know better by now, right? If you're familiar with my show at all, you would know better. Don't even bother. Don't even bother trying to reach out. I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to respond. And so that's the bottom line. So I'm very proud of that fact. Like I said, you guys make this work by giving $2 a month, $5 a month, $7 a month, whatever it happens to be, or you tip with that thanks button on YouTube below. We have that and the default ads on YouTube, and that's it, bro. And I'm very, very proud of that. So again, thank you for helping us build real independent media, not just online media. There's a distinction there, and I hope all of you guys understand that. And then, of course, you can sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. We got some awesome interviews coming up. I don't know if it's this week or next week, but we should have the left-wing comedian John Marco Ceresi coming on. I cannot wait to talk to him, but at the same time, I know I'm probably going to ruin any career prospects he has just by the fact that a comedian is talking to me, because I'm sure you get OD blacklisted from every Austin comedy room. Like half of the comedy scene probably will refuse to talk to you if you talk to a guy like me. So anyway, I love the fact that he agreed to come on, and I can't wait for that conversation. And of course, guys, go subscribe to the Corin's World YouTube channel as well, because we do live Kyle and Corin episodes every Monday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You don't want to miss it. We always have a great time. Now they've been stretching out. We've been going for 3 hours and 30 minutes. I mean, shit, we may have even come close to 4 hours at different times. So come hang out with us on Monday nights. All right, anyway, enough babbling. Let's go ahead and dive right in. So as you all know, the Epstein files are just a huge, huge topic right now. And what happened was the bill that was brought up by Thomas Massie and Representative Ro Khanna, so it actually is bipartisan. It's very rare that something bipartisan is good, but this is something that's actually both bipartisan and good. So Thomas Massie, the Libertarian Republican, and Ro Khanna, the Progressive Democrat, they got together and tried to force the release of the Epstein files. They had hit a brick wall in the past, but now it appears like that brick wall had crumbled. They were able to get a lot of popular pressure and a lot of grassroots pressure on lawmakers over this. And so it was looking inevitable that it was going to pass. There were going to be 50 to 100 Republican defectors. So Trump, out of desperation, tried to get ahead of it. And he changed his mind and he goes, "Actually, I've always wanted the Epstein files released. Everybody should vote for that bill. They should totally vote for that bill." And so the final result in the House was 427 to 1. Now, the one is Representative Clay Higgins, a Republican of Louisiana. And as everybody has pointed out, you need to check his hard drive ASAP, because that is creepy as hell, dog. That is creepy as hell. He's also, like, somebody in his office was tied to human trafficking or something like that. So, I mean, I don't know how deep that wormhole goes, bro, but it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good for Clay Higgins. Let's just say that. So then it gets to the Senate. Ready for this? The Senate passes it unanimously. They pass it unanimously. So then it's going to Trump's desk. Trump is like, oh, absolutely, totally. He just signed the bill. Like, I'm not kidding, about 5 or 10 minutes before I hit record, he just signed the bill. Okay, so now what's going to happen? Well, as I told you guys, don't get too excited. They got 1,000 fucking tricks up their sleeve. One of the things they're clearly working on is to purge the files of every reference to Donald Trump and every reference to Republicans in general. In fact, we have a Department of Justice whistleblower who's on camera, secret camera, saying that that's exactly what they're doing. Okay, so that's one thing that could happen. The other thing that could happen is they just don't release it because Trump opened a new investigation the other day, ordered a new investigation the other day. And by law, if there's an investigation going on, you can't release the stuff that's going to be used in the investigation. So he'll go, oh yeah, I signed the thing. We're going to release it. We're working on it, but you got to give us time because there's a new investigation. So there are tricks. They got tricks, okay? And don't get it twisted. They will absolutely exploit those massive loopholes that they left themselves. Now, having said that, this is just crushing the Trump regime. I mean, you want to talk about a grassroots revolt. You want to talk about people seeing through your BS. It doesn't get any more clear than this. So let me show you this Harry Enton segment over on CNN, and he's going to talk about where Trump's at vis-a-vis these Epstein files.
You know, usually Donald Trump has his pulse on the Republican base, but he did not on this issue. Because what are we talking about, Kate Baldwin? Well, GOP on the Epstein files. Approve of Trump. We're used to seeing approval of Trump among Republicans being 85, 90%. But when it came to the Epstein files, look at this. Just 44%, south of 50% of Republicans actually approved on Donald Trump when it came to the Epstein files.
I've never seen that before, by the way. When Donald Trump woke up randomly and decided, how about we bomb Iran? How about we bomb Iran illegally? Let's do that. That sounds like fun. The Republican base went from against bombing Iran to in favor of it like that. It was like, we're against these foreign wars too. Oh, Trump wants to do one? We love these foreign wars. Like that. It was like, I forget the numbers, but it was like 70, 80, 90% of the MAGA base said, yeah, bomb Iran. Sure, fuck it. Why not? We know they're not a threat to us. We know they're not a problem. Bomb them anyway. But on Epstein, they're refusing to go there. Only 44% of Republicans approve of Trump on Epstein. That is crazy, dog.
South of 50% of Republicans actually approved on Donald Trump when it came to the Epstein files. Compare that to this. What was the percentage of Republicans that wanted all of the Epstein files released? 67%. So what we were dealing with is simple mathematics. The Republican base was against Donald Trump on the Epstein files. They were with the idea of releasing them. The Republican representatives saw that and therefore were not afraid to go against Donald Trump because this was the rare instance in which the Republican base was not with Donald Trump. They were actually with the idea of being against Donald Trump and releasing the Epstein files.
And one way that you have long been able to kind of gauge, at least if people are really interested in something, is how you're gauging on Google searches. What is that showing?
Yeah, what is that showing? You know, back in July, there was this idea, there was this push, right, to release the Epstein files. And Mike Johnson said, you know what? I'm sending the House home. Adios, amigos, goodbye. There was interest in it, but not to the degree that we're seeing right now. Okay, Google searches for Jeffrey Epstein versus a week ago, up nearly 1,200%. We have seen more searches over the last 5-day period for Jeffrey Epstein than any 5-day period this entire year, much more so than we saw even in July. And more than that, the top associated search topic with Jeffrey Epstein was Donald Trump. This problem, simply put, was not going away. So what you were dealing with was many Republicans unhappy with how Trump was dealing with the Epstein files, many Republicans wanting those Epstein files released, and more than that, it was climbing the interest levels, so it wasn't going away. So all of a sudden, the Republican representatives are saying, jailbreak time, adios amigos, we're going to leave Donald Trump. We are going to vote to release those files long before Donald Trump even said, you know what, you should release them all.
By the way, there's a good lesson in this for all of us. You genuinely never know when something is actually going to break through. Because, you know, I mean, I've been talking about the Epstein files forever. You guys have probably been following the Epstein files forever, or at least for a very long time. So in your mind, it was like peak relevance. Years ago, you could say it was like, oh God, Epstein files, of course, huge. But basically what he's saying is, just now, all of a sudden, the interest in Epstein has peaked. And so, look, I mean, people are genuinely and sincerely like 3 to 5 years behind the times. But hey, we're here now, and better late than never. So now if people care about it, now if people understand what's going on, now if they're connecting the dots, if the Epstein emails help people do that, then all the power to them. But man, this is not good for Trump. What
are you saying in terms of what people think really are the chances that the files will be released now?
Okay, so we're going to hold this House vote, right? And we expect that a lot of House Republicans are going to say release them. But there is still a problem insofar as getting them released. That is, one of the biggest problems is the United States Senate. They may not even vote on it. And so here we go. This is, I think, a good sort of baseline understanding of will Donald Trump actually release any more Epstein files before the end of his second term. On Saturday, it was 50%. Now Trump says, we should release them all. If a bill gets to my desk, I would sign it. But even so, it's still 72%. So majority chance that we will see more Epstein files. I think it's a good use of the prediction markets because it's conventional wisdom baseline where people are putting their money. But it's still far less than 100% because, hey, look, we got to still wait and see if the United States Senate actually gets a vote on this.
Yeah, there's a lot that's...
So this video came out before that happened. Since then, the Senate unanimously voted for it. Trump just signed the bill, but like I said, they have tricks up their sleeve and they're going to use them. By the way, here is the epic crash out. A reporter on Air Force One asked Trump a question about Epstein's recently revealed emails, of which he's all over them. There's about 20,000 emails. He's referenced about 1,600 times. He's the number one reference for a person. The number one reference. So ready? Listen to what happens when he gets uncomfortable.
Is there nothing incriminating in the files, sir?
Quiet piggy. Like I said, I mean, this is some old-timey ass misogyny, bro. Like, where's your fucking top hat and your monocle while you're at it? Quiet piggy? What? I'm like floored by that. And I love the right-wing goofballs who are convinced like this was an epic own, bro. Or it's like a fucking geriatric freak of a president who is using like 1920s ass misogynistic smears. Like, what is quiet piggy? Jesus Christ. Could you imagine? Imagine President Obama saying something like that to a female reporter. All right, let's watch the further exchange.
Quiet piggy. What did Jeffrey Epstein mean in his emails when he said you knew about the girls?
I know nothing about that. They would have announced that a long time ago. It's really, what did he mean when he spent all the time with Bill Clinton, with the president of Harvard, that is Summers?
So this is one of his dodges. It's all Democrats. All Democrats were friendly with Jeffrey Epstein. He says that half the time, and the other half the time he says, this is a hoax. It's a Democrat hoax. Understand how that's contradictory. You can't have it both ways. Are the Epstein files fake and a hoax, or are they real and the Democrats are guilty? Which one is it? Like, this is what I'm saying. He doesn't even bother to try to make sense because he's not smart. He's a dumbass. He has a low IQ. So he doesn't realize that those two lines of argument completely contradict each other. Like, how do you not see that? The Epstein files are fake. They're a hoax. Okay, they're real, but the Democrats are the guilty ones.
Whatever his name is, and all of the other people that he spent time with. Jeffrey Epstein and I had a very bad relationship for many years. But he also saw strike because I was president. So he dictated a couple of memos to himself. Give me a break. You're going to find out what did he know with respect to Bill Clinton.
He mentions Bill Clinton. What Trump doesn't tell you is that in these emails that were just released, Jeffrey Epstein said Clinton was never at the island. Now, look, to be fair, I don't know if I believe that. But having said that, he said it. And Trump, of course, would never bring that up because it might exonerate Bill Clinton to one extent or another. Now, wouldn't it?
With respect to the head of Harvard, with respect to all of those people that he knew, including J.P. Morgan shares.
Sir, if there's nothing incriminating in the files, sir,
So she's saying if there's nothing incriminating in the files, and she wants to go on and say, well, why not just release them? You don't even need, like, Congress to act, right? And that's his reaction. One more time.
Sir, if there's nothing incriminating in the files, sir,
Quiet piggy. By the way, this is a point that people made on social media, and I genuinely think it's a fair point to make. You see how he was, like, totally unhinged there, and he, like, snapped into this very aggressive and angry mode? People forget there were allegations from, I think it was Ivana, but one of his previous wives. There were allegations that he raped her. And they also, like, the reason for their divorce, for them splitting up, was some, like, very dark, cryptic thing about how, like, he was aggressive and he treated her like property almost or something like that. I forget the technical legal term that she was, because this was back in the day when you got a divorce back in the day, you actually had to file a specific reason as to why you're getting a divorce. They didn't have like, irreconcilable differences. It was like, no, there has to be an actual like real reason. And it was something about basically like abuse, like he was abusive. And you could see like, that's the inner abuser coming out. Quiet piggy, you're saying to a grown woman reporter for asking a legitimate question. Like, again, he should just tattoo guilty right on his forehead because it's never been more clear. How about this one? Ready? The Department of Justice was actively working with survivors for years in an investigation into Epstein's co-conspirators in the Southern District of New York office. After Trump took office, they were ordered to send all of their case files to Washington. The case was then closed. And then Raskin wrote a letter to Pam Bondi about this. Isn't that insane? That is absolutely insane. So in other words, there were good investigations going on at the state level and the local level, particularly in the Southern District of New York. And the feds came in and just ended all of that. Again, not something you do if you're not all over those Epstein files. All right, more. So now Mark Epstein, of course, is Jeffrey Epstein's brother. He's in a bunch of the emails, by the way, and there's some amazing back and forths. In fact, it was Mark Epstein who was going back and forth with Jeffrey, and one of them said, does Putin have the pictures of Trump blowing Bubba? And, Bubba was Bill Clinton's nickname. Bubba was also the name of Ghislaine Maxwell's horse. And I think he was also asked, like, hey, was that Bill Clinton? And he said, no. He said, it's not. So then everybody's going to go, okay, are there pictures of Trump sucking off a horse that now Vladimir Putin has as blackmail? And that's the other thing, right? There's a tremendous amount of evidence that Epstein is Mossad, but the fact that there may be connections to the Russian government as well leads me to believe he may have been like a freelancer, and he would get all this blackmail and basically sell it to foreign governments that wanted blackmail on powerful American figures. So just insane stuff. But putting aside the blowing Bubba scandal, which of course we've all been having a lot of fun with over the past however many days it's been, here is Mark Epstein talking to Fredo Corleone here with his freak mustache. And listen to what he says.
Jeffrey, in 2016, I said this publicly before, Jeffrey told me that if he said what he knew about the candidates, they'd have to cancel the election. He didn't tell me what he knew, but Jeffrey definitely had dirt on Trump.
If he said what he knew about the candidates, they'd have to cancel the election. That means he also has dirt on Hillary. By the way, in the emails, I should point out as well, in the emails, he sort of implied that Hillary had an affair with Vince Foster. By the way, Vince Foster wound up dead. Okay, I'm just saying.
And you could see in the emails, Trump could deny it all he wants, but it's pretty clear. I mean, everything Trump says is a lie.
But that's not what you were talking about.
It's provable that he was in Jeffrey's office. He said he wasn't in the house. It's provable he was there. He said everything he says is a lie.
So devastating. Here's Epstein's brother. Yeah, everything Trump says is a lie. Everything he says is a lie. There's an email from 2011 where they say, oh, Trump is at the house with one of the victims for hours. Okay, the rooms in Epstein's house were bugged. There were hidden video cameras everywhere. So if Trump is there with the victim for hours, as I've been saying, they weren't playing Parcheesi. They weren't discussing gardening tips. That wasn't happening. So what do you think was going on? You know what's going on because you're not a child. You're not a baby. You don't be naive. So that means there's video. There's video of the president doing you know what, potentially with underage children, right? In which case, wow, you would do whatever those governments want you to do, the ones that have the blackmail, wouldn't you? Oh, would you take a look at how he's given Israel literally everything they've ever wanted and more? All right, more. Ready for this? Mark Epstein drops another bombshell here. Listen to this.
What I do want to talk about is I've been recently told the reason they're going to be releasing these things and the reason for the flip is that they're sanitizing these files. There's a facility in Winchester, Virginia, where they're scrubbing the files to take Republican names out of it. That's what I was told by a pretty good source.
And by the way, we played the video for you. It was James O'Keefe, who's like this right-wing, gonzo journalist type person. And he got on the record, or on video, I should say, secret video, a Department of Justice whistleblower, basically, who said, oh, yeah, they're taking out all the Republican names. They're taking out Trump's name throughout the files. Of course, that's what they're doing. And so now Epstein's brother is saying the same thing, and he's saying exactly where it's happening. He said in Winchester, Virginia. Like, that's very oddly specific if it's not true, right? So just wild stuff here. All right, and then finally, let's talk a little bit about Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think Trump was under the impression he still had the juice. I think he was under the impression that, hey, I'm the big boss man. Whatever I say goes. I'm still riding high. Well, come to find out, I don't know, dog. You lost a step. You're looking a little bit like Celtic Shaq out there now. So here is Marjorie Taylor Greene speaking with, the Epstein victims around. And this is the Epstein Files Transparency Act press conference. And she sort of leans into it. She's not backing down. Trump was attacking her relentlessly. She was getting death threats and stuff like that. But she goes out there and she says this.
I was called a traitor by a man that I fought for 6 years for. And I gave him my loyalty for free. I won my first election without his endorsement, beating 8 men in a primary. And I've never owed him anything, but I fought for him for the policies and for America first. And he called me a traitor for standing with these women and refusing to take my name off the discharge petition. Let me tell you what a traitor is. A traitor is an American that serves foreign countries and themselves.
Ooh. Oh, goddamn. Do you see what she's saying there? She's being sly. She's being slick. But what she's saying there is, you're serving Israel, Trump. And remember, Marjorie came out and acknowledged it looks like Epstein is probably Mossad, Israeli intelligence. This is her saying, you're serving Israel, not the United States of America. You're MAGA, not MAGA. That's what she's saying. Wow. Why? Okay, by the way, let me just point out, Democrats, come on, man. Do not let her outflank you on this issue. Do not. And the other thing she indicated there is that he's incredibly corrupt because he's only serving himself. He's serving Israel and he's serving himself. Which, by the way, how many corruption scandals does there have to be for people to wake up to see the plain-faced reality that this is the most corrupt regime in United States history? Just alone with his scam crypto shitcoin. That alone was like, oh, you're the most corrupt president ever by far. But it goes way beyond that. Fucking Jared Kushner taking $2 billion from Saudi Arabia. Trump himself taking tens or hundreds of millions from Saudi Arabia. We don't even know how much for the Live Golf events. This is insane what we're witnessing here. And what Marjorie Taylor Greene is calling it out. Ooh, he fucked up this time, bro. He never should have went so hard in the paint against her. He never should have done it. Especially because she was a true believer. And she still is. She keeps acting like, I don't get it. You're not in the Epstein files. Just release them, Trump. Well, Marjorie, my sweet summer child, I got some bad news for you. Again, he's all over those files. That's why he was so desperate to not have them released.
That serves foreign countries and themselves. A patriot is an American that serves the United States of America and Americans like the women standing behind me. And I want to tell you that this only became possible today because the American people whom we serve as representatives here in Congress demanded that this vote happen, and they put more pressure on every single elected politician in this city than has ever been put on them. And today you are going to see probably a unanimous vote in the House to release the Epstein files, but the real fight will happen after that.
Goddamn. So, you know you done fucked up, Trump. You know you done fucked up, right? You know you done fucked up. Man. All right. There you have it. Like I said, he's still got tricks up his sleeve, but honestly, guys, the damage is done. Trump was already at 36% approval rating. Then after that is when this big right-wing civil war erupted. After that is when he continued to remind people, I am going to hide the Epstein files further. So, I mean, how low can you go? That's the question at this point. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.